What is going on, sports card fiends? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day, and today we are here with a video on why timing the market is worse than time in the market. Essentially a video talking about the importance of just being involved in the market for a long time and the importance of just constantly being involved. Not someone that tries to hop in at the right time, hop out at the right time, do this, that, or the other. It's the least sustainable for the hobby at large if everyone had the same mindset. And this is the thing, after we come down from the peaks that we were at, everyone's going to look at themselves and be like, wow, I'm not the all-knowing that I thought I was. I should have sold everything at the top and bought everything at the bottom, and I could have made money and gotten a larger position and all of this different stuff. And sure, we all think that. We all think, dang, I could have just done so much better and would have absolutely nailed it out of the park. But at the same time, if we all knew that, like, the market would have just done the same thing. We all knew, if we all knew what was to come, we would have just followed what was to come. Like, that is just simply put how it would be, because the market is just reacting off of how other people are reacting. So if everyone knew that this was happening, then everyone would react the same, and it would just go to nothing. So it's an impossible thing to think of. Everyone likes the idea and likes the theory behind buying in at the right time and selling at the right time. Obviously, it's ideal, and you should do it in small amounts. You know, whenever your collection goes up a ton, you should sell off things that you feel like are overvalued, that you don't care too much about, to then buy back later. There should be some of that, but you cannot do it entirely. And even if you can, it's one of the hardest things to do right. So to think that you could just randomly pick out what's the low, what's the high, and it's just absurd, especially as someone that, if you were in this situation where you're just picking out lows and highs, you'd have to be involved in the market all the time without a real position in the market, which is incredibly hard to do for other people. So I feel like for so many reasons, it's such an absurd thing to think. And I just wanted to go ahead and dig a little bit deeper into why that is so crazy. So let's go ahead and hop on over to Card Ladder. So to start over on Card Ladder here, we have an Mbappe PSA 10 Prism. I mean, I always roast this card because I don't think it should have ever been valued near where it is at, and that's why it's going down. I mean, there's 3K pop for a third-year card. I still think it's overvalued. Nonetheless, whenever we look at this card, if you were trying to time this market, say you want to be one of those people that's just insanely cracked and just can predict whatever they want to, how would you go about timing this market over the last year? What would you have done? I don't think there is anything that you could have necessarily done other than maybe predict that, you know, up until like his run up to the Euros and Champions League, he might have gotten a bump, which he did, but beside that, there's not a whole lot that you can time and do things in particular to make yourself a ton of money. And I think that's what people thought they were getting into with Prism. They're trying to time the market, buy low, sell high, this, that, and the other, when in reality, if they were someone that was looking for time in the market, the people that are looking for time in the market, they're thinking long term. They're thinking, what is an important, desirable, unique, rare, mint piece that I can add to my collection for the long term? And so those types of people wouldn't even care about this Mbappe. Personally, I've never had one. I do not care about them at all. And whenever you look at this price graph, I think that's an example of why. There's so many people that were buying this card trying to time the market. When can they hit this old peak of 2.8 grand? When will we get back there? Well, the thing is with PSA backlogs, we'll probably never get back there. Whenever the price got that high, the pop for this card had to have been insanely less, or else people wouldn't have been doing this, or more would have been sold. So that's saying that an example of people trying to time the market would have honestly gotten railed this entire year. Like, if you would have kept this Mbappe card for 1 year past the moment of you buying it, I don't know if any of these people that bought since the boom are going to make money. And that's an example of trying to time the market and how it can hurt you. Now, your counter may be, you just said that time in the market was important and that, you know, staying the course long term should be good. But that is only true with, again, rare, unique, desirable pieces that people are going to care and want. And this Mbappe base Prism, I don't think is an example of that. And so whenever you try to do this time the market, buy low, sell high, turn this Prism into 3x, and then I flip that Prism back into a rookie, it sometimes doesn't go the way you thought. And this is an example of that happening. At the same time, a rare, unique, desirable piece in the Mbappe 2016 that has a pop 422 for the PSA 9. I mean, if you were buying back like during October, November, December, you've made some good money. Now, will this card start to come back down? I mean, as we can see, it's kind of $1,700, $2,000 right now, when most of the time it was chilling at $700 to $1,000. Will it come back down? Personally, I think it'll come back down a little bit. I don't know how much more it will, though. It's always nice to look at pop reports and kind of how much has come out. So, for example, here the population growth for this Mbappe has been, over the last 3 months, about 120. So obviously a good bit coming out of the market. But this is an example where if Mbappe was truly to become a legendary icon in the game of football, soccer, whatever you want to call it, I think that, yeah, I mean, long term, if you held this, I think you'd do perfectly fine. But again, that's the problem with timing the market, because rookies and prospects and all this, you're always trying to time the market. I mean, in reality, if you're buying up rookies based on your prospect of them and you just plan on sitting on them until they become worth millions, odds are that's not happening, and you just have a whole different idea of what this market could be. So buying on younger players is still trying to time the market. You're still doing the same thing, and in situations where maybe it turns out okay and favorable and the player does well, maybe it'll work out. But again, you're still trying to time the market, and it's not necessarily the best thing, because as you can see here, maybe you're someone that doesn't necessarily know what's going on, and you buy for $4.5K, and now you're down to $1.7K. You've just lost $2,000 to $3,000 on a card. I don't know who's buying that high, to be honest with you. I don't know. They're probably chasing returns at that point. But these people, I mean, in their head, they must be timing the market. They must feel like they're doing something that is just, game changing. And at the same time, maybe long term they'll be okay, but in the short term, got clobbered. The most important factor that you'll see with all of these cards is that 2 years ago they were essentially worth nothing, and now they're worth a lot. And that's just like the beginning waves of people getting into soccer cards. If soccer cards really got big long term, then I think, rookies of truly established players could see booms like we saw already. I think that we could easily see more booms that just put old booms into the absolute rear view where we don't even think about them. But the problem is to be able to hit those booms, and as you can see here, the biggest point, I guess, with all of this, there's a large gaps up. Like in these graphs, you will see a large gap up, and there's no way you can predict that. There is almost no way that you can predict this. Now, could you have predicted maybe it goes back up a little bit as he gets towards the Euros, like I mentioned before at the Prism? Sure, you could have predicted that, maybe. But at the same time, these massive 2, 3, 4x gap ups only happen somewhat randomly and whenever the market's really humming. So it's not really something you can predict. And again, it's a reason that being a part of it is more important than just timing it. Because if you were timing it, maybe in February you were like, I'll just buy back when it's lower. He'll probably get knocked out of the Champions League. Euros are far away. Might not even go up then, which it really didn't. And you could have been right. But at the same time, you weren't, and the thing jumped to $4.5 grand. And that's just the thing with these cards. You can never really predict when they're going to boom. A lot of people want cards to be predictable, and if this person does really good in a game, then their price booms. But at the end of the day, it's all interest in the hobby. It's all perspective on the player. There's a ton of different factors here that make the price what it is beyond just how this guy performs. So if you think that just because you can tell how someone performs that you're going to absolutely kill it in the card game, you might be right to an extent, but at the same time, there's a ton of alternative factors that are going on that you won't even be noticing that can cause gap ups like this. And then if you didn't predict that, if you weren't ready for that, you can be left in the dust. And that can cause you to start to want to buy in at those new high prices because you're scared of what you already missed out on. And if you did that, you would even get clobbered more, which is kind of the point. Essentially, the best way for the market to run and function is for the people that have these cards to just legitimately like them, to want to own them, to want to have them long term, to believe in what they have. And if you're someone that's trying to time the market, high, low, this, that, and the other, you're going to be chasing a lot of the times, and you're probably not going to value items the way that you should. That's going to make you a better collector, a better investor long term. And ultimately, I think that trying to time the market is a really dangerous game. Of course, while, like I said earlier, you should buy low and sell high on some things, you should also still have a baseline of your collection that probably isn't going to change much, that you believe in long term and can actually be proud of and have a good time with. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like. Anything you want to tell me, would love to hear in a comment down below, especially how you're going about the market and kind of the lows that we're seeing right now. And if you want to see more videos like this as soon as they go live, make sure to subscribe. And with that said, hopefully have a wonderful day and peace.